For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sanjay, and this is not my voice or accent, but hopefully, this will be interesting, and you will go easy on me. Firstly, thank you for your time and patience in watching my video presentation, for which I have chosen a talk about a book. It is a 2002 book titled Cradle to Cradle and is authored by William McDonough, who is an architect, and Michael Brongart, who is a chemist. I chose this book because of the current MBA course, in which we have touched on the cradle to cradle topic. I wanted to check it out a bit more, so I leaned into my dependable research partner Google, which led me to this book. Fortunately, this is one of the books suggested in our assessment topics that we could read and present, so it was a no-brainer for me. When it comes to reading the book, I prefer a paper copy. I was delighted that a book was available at the UC library, which I could loan. I was surprised by the weight of the book when it arrived in a courier bag at my place. It was certainly heavier than other books of its dimension. When I took the book out of the courier bag, I felt that book had a unique texture, unlike any books I had touched before. This book is not made out of paper. The authors have chosen to use this book as a prop to illustrate their idea, which to me was impressive. They set the scene in the book's introduction, which they called "This book is not a tree." Here they explain that the book is made out of synthetic paper. They note that it is unlike the paper we are familiar with. It does not use any wood pulp or cotton fiber, but is made from plastic resins and inorganic fillers. This material is not only waterproof, it is extremely durable and can be recycled or circulated infinitely. And this is what the authors called cradle-to-cradle design. The cradle-to-cradle design thinking is based on abundance theory. It's based on the idea that everything becomes a nutrient for a future cycle. This book encourages makers, whether designers and engineers, corporations, or anyone else, to rethink the way things are made. The book revisits history and talks about how the Industrial Revolution began and how was design thinking at the time. That the mindset for these designs had been that there would be an infinite amount of resources available that could be taken from the earth. In these systems and processes, the product's consumer has been the center of the design. That is, the person who buys it should like it. Not much thought was given to what happens to the product afterwards. Once the consumer is done with the product, most likely the product will end up in the rubbish dump. If not, the consumers will recycle them. However, they don't know the fate of the items. The book explains that not all materials from the products can be recycled. At most, it can be downcycled unless conscious thinking has allowed the design to include materials to be upcycled or adequately recycled. It has only delayed the material ending up in the dump. If it is downcycled, the material used in the product disposed of was not designed to be recycled. It fails to be useful over and over. At the pace at which resources are being consumed, with the increase in population, we are depleting the resources faster than the earth can replenish them. It is not sustainable to keep doing what we are doing today. If we want similar or better living standards for us and our children and grandchildren. It raises another good point. Doing less bad will not solve the problem, but will slightly delay the problem or, at times, make it worse. The book claims that we must look from the outset how we select material, where it comes from, how it will be made, and where it will go next and next. The book repeats an example of the cherry tree to hammer the point home on how the system should work. The cherry tree example shows that when cherry tree blossoms, it creates fruit for birds, humans, and other animals, in order that one pit might eventually fall onto the ground, take root and grow. The tree makes abundant blossoms and fruit without depleting its environment. Once they fall on the ground, their materials decompose and break down into nutrients that nourish microorganisms, insects, plants, animals, and soil. Although the tree actually makes more of its product than it needs for its own success in an ecosystem, this abundance has evolved to serve rich and varied purposes. In fact, the tree's productiveness nourishes just about everything around it. In summary, Cradle to Cradle is beyond just looking at life cycle analysis or measuring the less bad of our impact. It is really about the more good. The book is thought-provoking and inspirational. However, I am yet to think about how I can involve this in my own world where I have influence. The books make me think about how we are reassuring ourselves that we are doing our bit, but I know we'd have to do more. Thank you for watching my presentation. Let us to cradle to cradle.